Hey, welcome to the Explainer. So, have you ever wondered why some rooms in your house just feel like a sauna, no matter how hard you crank the AC? Well, today we're going to crack the case on this invisible force that decides exactly how hard your air conditioner has to work.
You know the feeling, right? It's that one spot in the office that's always just sweltering. Or maybe it's that upstairs bedroom that never ever seems to cool down. Well, the answer to this whole mystery, it comes down to a concept called the cooling load.
So to put it simply, the cooling load is just the total amount of heat that your AC unit is up against. It's all the heat that's sneaking in, seeping through the walls, and even being made right there inside the room you're trying to keep cool. Okay, so let's really get into this. To solve this thing, we're basically going to become heat detectives. In our investigation, it's got two parts. First, we're going to hunt down all the heat that's breaking in from the outside. And then we're going to uncover the culprits that are hiding in plain sight, right there inside the room with you.
This is what we call the external cooling load. And, you know, when we start our investigation, it almost always points to one primary villain. Yeah, you probably guessed it. The number one source of heat gain for literally any building is the sun. It is just relentlessly beaming down energy, warming up every single surface, and it's always looking for a way to get inside.
And what's really interesting is how the sun's heat attacks. It's kind of got a two-pronged approach. Some of it is immediate. It just blasts right through your windows and boom, you feel warmer instantly. But the rest of it, it plays the long game. It gets soaked up by the building's walls and the roof. And then, slowly, over hours, it radiates into the space. That's that warmth you can feel coming off a wall long after the sun is actually set.
Now, if we're going to be good heat detectives, we have to know the lingo. A wall, that's an exterior surface that gets hit by the sun. But an interior wall, that's called a partition. Now, it's not in the sun, but it can still be a problem. Just imagine your nice, cool bedroom is right next to a hot, unair-conditioned bathroom. Well, heat is going to move right through that partition, and that adds to your bedroom's cooling load.
And it's the exact same idea for what's above you. A roof is the very top of the building, just baking in the sun all day long. But if you've got another floor above you, that surface overhead is actually a ceiling. The heat coming through it isn't directly from the sun, it's from the room upstairs. Believe it or not, that's a huge difference when you're calculating the load.
Let's talk about windows, because this is where things get serious. Windows are a major entry point for heat. So, when sunlight hits the glass, some of that energy passes right on through. That's the fast break-in. But the glass itself also heats up, and then it slowly releases that heat into the room. That's the slow sneak. So a window hits you with this 1-2 punch of heat. In fact, a single big, sunny window can let in as much heat as a small portable heater running on full blast. Crazy, right?
And finally, for the outside threat, we have the sneakiest culprit of them all, infiltration. And that's really just a fancy word for warm outside air finding its way inside through all those tiny little gaps and cracks around your windows and doors. You can't see it, but every little bit of that warm air adds to the heat your AC has to fight.
All right, detective, we've secured the perimeter. But wait, the calls are coming from inside the house. Now we've got to investigate the internal cooling load. That's all the heat that's being generated right there in the room.
And for this inside job, our investigation really narrows down to 3 main suspects, all generating heat from within the room itself. That's people, lighting, and appliances. Let's start with the most obvious one, us. Yeah, you and me. We are basically walking, talking little furnaces. Our bodies are constantly producing heat, and the more active we are, the more heat we generate. A crowded room is way harder to cool, not just because of, bad breath, but because of body heat.
And the amount of heat we produce, it changes wildly. Just sitting here at a desk, that generates a decent amount of heat. But if you're exercising, you become a full-blown radiator. Even just sleeping generates some heat. So when engineers are calculating a cooling load, they have to figure out how many people are going to be in a space and what they'll be doing.
All right, suspect number 2, the lights. It's so easy to forget this, but every single light bulb is also a mini heater. It turns electricity into light, sure, but also into heat. Those old-school incandescent bulbs were famous for being hot, but even the modern LEDs produce some heat that gets added to the room's total load.
And last but not least, our beloved gadgets and appliances. That computer on your desk, the printer in the corner, the coffee maker, the big TV, they all generate heat when they're on. In an office or kitchen, the heat from appliances can be a massive part of the internal cooling load. I mean, think about it. A high-performance computer and its monitor can easily generate as much heat as another person sitting right there in the room with you.
So, okay, We've investigated the threats from the outside, and we've identified the culprits on the inside. But what's the point of all this detective work? Why does understanding this whole cooling load thing actually matter?
Well, when you put it all together, the cooling load is basically the complete case file on all the heat in a room. It accounts for every single culprit, from the sun beating down on the roof to the heat coming off your laptop. It's the total enemy force that your AC is up against.
And that right there is the big takeaway. Professionals do this super detailed calculation so they can pick an air conditioner that is perfectly sized for the space. Because if an AC is too small, it's just never going to keep up. And if it's too big, it'll waste a ton of energy and won't dehumidify the air properly. The cooling load calculation makes sure you get it just right, for maximum comfort and efficiency.
So, go on, take a look around you. Think like a heat detective. You've got the sun outside, the lights on above you, maybe the computer in front of you, and of course, there's you. Once you start actually seeing all these heat sources, I promise, you'll never think about a hot room in the same way again.